Hello and welcome to Mad Old Ghost Racing and Happy New Year. I know I'm late, but I've been a bit busy, tied up with life, unfortunately. What are we doing? We are in Automobilista 2, having a look at the 1.5.5.0 update and the 1.5.5.1 in that. And in fact, I've only tried one of the cars from the new update, and it's this one. And I've done about 2 laps of it just to make sure I could actually drive it. Apart from that, that's it. That's all I managed to do. I have used the new circuit, which we'll get to in a minute. As we had a race on what day of the week is it? It's Tuesday. Saturday. Yeah, that's how good it's been of late. Yes, had a race on Saturday, but not in these. I think there's a plan to have a race in these next weekend. We were in the GT1s, I think. My brain's going. Any road. Before we do anything else and have a look at the circuit, we'll actually have a look through the updates, changelogs, and see what we're actually getting for our money. Right, this is the version 1.5.3.5 to 1.5.5.0 changelog. Content, tracks, added Le Mans, featuring Circuit de 24-hour du Mans, Bugatti layouts, part of the Circuit de 24-hour du Mans, DLC. I would say free for all for the first few days, but that's been and gone. I should also call it 24-hour in French, shouldn't I, really? But I failed dismally at French at school. Cars, added LMDh class, featuring the BMW M Hybrid V8, the Cadillac V-Series.R, and the Porsche 963 GTP, which this is. Part of the Endurance Pack Pt1 DLC, free for all for the first few days. Sorry you missed that. Added GT3 Gen2 class, featuring the BMW M4, that's replacement for the M6. Mclaren 720S Evo, that's a replacement or an update to the 720S, surprise, surprise. 2023 Mercedes AMG GT3 Evo, again that's an update to the AMG Evo. And the Porsche 992 GT3R, which is an all-new car, replacement for the 991 obviously. Part Endurance, or I should say part presumably of Endurance Pack Pt1 DLC, free for all for the first few days, blah blah blah. General, added official support for driver swaps with generic AI driver, fixing previous inconsistent skill level compared to the other drivers in the session. Added support for working track light LED panels, whip only green FCY states for now, and only Le Mans and Montreal already set up for them. There may be some others in a later update, I can't remember, but we'll get to that in a minute. Added option to limit the maximum number of visible vehicles. Multiplier, added some additional MP logging around an unrecoverable condition where the local client is promoted to session host, removed geographic restrictions on dedicated server searches, increased MP browser list refresh speed, added stroke updated championships for Formula Vintage, Formula Retros, Formula Classic, Formula High Tech, Formula V12, Formula V10, Formula Restart, Formula Ultimates, all gens, Stock Car Brazil 1979 to 2023, Coca Montana Sprint Race, Porsche Cup Brazil, GT1, Group C and BMW M1 Pro Car. Added several points sets for user custom championships for majority of all classes. Improved raindrop visuals and dynamics and updated raindrop and rain streak textures to achieve denser raindrops. Adjusted under tray spark dynamics and coloration. Logitech G923 low torque true force device improved sustained FFB effects overall strength. Added class scoring option to custom championship editor. UI and HUD. Added class filters to championship end of weekend screen. Fixed pole position bonus points showing race bonus points on champ scoring selection dialog. Fixed long session lengths escaping their bounding box on start new championship screen. Fixed localization and alignment issues on control screen, active suspension labels. Fixed cancel stroke save buttons sharing same keybind on edit grid page. Updated motorsport preset for Group C. Reading about 3 words ahead there, brain didn't keep up with my mouth. Added events presets for LMDh plus GT3 Gen2, LMDh and GT3 Gen2. What? Okay. Interlagos 1993 added a missing track map in HUD display for Interlagos 1993. Physics. I shouldn't complain. I can't speak Portuguese or translate it into another language or anything, so. Physics. Added support for progressive third springs used by new LMDh cars and Cadillac DPI. GT3, both gens, adjusted body drag for all models and engine peaks for AMG, Mercedes and Porsche to rectify excessive terminal top speed. Added low downforce setup configuration for GTE. Adjusted traction control actuation for GTE, GT4, GT3 Gen 1, all models. Revised FFB for GT1, GTE, GT Open, Porsche Cup, GT4, Ginetta G55 Super Cup, GT5 and G40 Cup models. AI. Added car-specific AI race start mistake scaler overrides, so AI for more modern Formula cars, brackets Formula Research, Formula Ultimates, with advanced clutches don't struggle with major burnouts off the line. Well, those happen more often in starts with Formula Vintages, Formula Retros, Formula Classics, Formula V12, Formula V10 Gen 1. No, that's not my eyesight. It did actually say stats, not starts. Adjusted AI launch performance on wet for all high-power Formula classes listed above. Slightly increased the likelihood of AI making a mistake during braking when under pressure. Disabled AI half-spin mistakes on corner exit. Caterham, all models, adjusted AI suspension rates and increased roll torque stab in an attempt to minimise issues with higher curbs. I presume stab was stabilisation or stability. I can't believe they're stabbing torque at you. Increased amount of AI lifting off throttle under blue flags. Kart 125 shifter, fixed bounce when spawning on track. AI calibration pass for LMDh, DPI and P1, both gens. Audio, added reverb and wall reflection volume sliders to audio options. Fixed missing starter sound for Formula Trainer, Formula Classic, G1 M2, Formula V, McLaren F1 GT1. Metal Moro MRX P3 Turbo, adjusted engine sound and position. Fixed engine starter sound for Camaro SS VW TSI Cup cars, adjusted curb sound so volume is less dependent on tyre loads. Fixed missing Doppler effect on trackside audio for ARC, Camaro and Cartcross. Adjusted surface sounds for McLaren Senna and Karts. Adjusted engine sound for Formula High Tech G1 M4. Increased gear shift volume for Porsche 911 GT3R and VW Polo RX. Camaro SS fixed missing startup sound and adjusted external chase cam sound rev range. Tracks, Interlagos 91-93, fixed issue with pitwall collision causing strange FFB on contact. Cleveland reduces chance of player car missing the timing sector triggers, which results in the lap not recorded. Vehicles, fixed shader emissive LCD and LED screens being too bright at night and too dim during the day. Updated cockpit display for GTE, GT3 Gen 1, GT4 all models to suit shader developments. Fixed Chevrolet Corvette C8Z06 windscreen HUD being too dark at night. GTE added leader lights on the Porsche 991 RSR and the Corvette C8R. Formula Classic G4M2 fixed bonnet camera clipping. McLaren MP4 7 fixed wheels and brake disc pivot points. That's the end of that bit. Find another tab and version 1.5.5.1 changelog. General altered algorithm for max visible vehicles, setting to bias towards vehicles ahead. Added high beam headlight mode for local player. We'll mention that in a bit more in a moment. Physics, LMDh, disabled max ERS deployment per lap, which had inadvertently been left enabled. Improved build and balanced deployment modes for Le Mans 24-hour layout by conserving energy in higher gears. Fixed player auto ERS activating qual during outlaps. Disabled tyre blankets and LMDh and GT3 Gen2 classes as per current WEC/IMPS rules. Adjusted AI tyre wear rate for LMDh and GT3 Gen2 classes. Adjusted AI brake usage for LMDh, P1, both gens, and Cadillac DPI classes. AI calibration pass for the Formula V12, Formula V10 Gen 1 and Gen 2, Formula Racer, Formula Ultimate Gen 1 and Gen 2, dry and wet. Audio, McLaren MP4 12, fixed missing starter sound. Formula V10 Gen 1, fix attempt to address disappearing sounds in MP. Vehicles, LMDh, GTE, GT3, all gens, adjust base headlights for brightness, fixed lighting on carbon material and in secondary light sources. BMW M Hybrid V8, new safety lights, added range streaks, added for side windows. Cadillac V-Series.R, added range streaks for side windows. Porsche 992 GT3R, corrected display with inverted best lap and split time, and that's that one. Right, headlights. Note on high beam option, there's now a option. One button headlight operation can be achieved one of two ways, subject to user preference. When binding only the headlights button, the single button will cycle all modes to repeat off, low, high, off. So to go from high to low, you have to go through off. So don't do it halfway around the corner and suddenly find yourself in the dark, literally. When binding only the high beam button, the low will be controlled automatically with other vehicles' lights, as was previously the case when the lights are on. The bound button will toggle directly between low and high settings. So basically, if you only put on the high beam binding, your lights will turn off, if they're supposed to in whatever series you're running, automatically, and turn on automatically, but then you just control the high-low, so you can't actually turn the lights off. So, two options. If you bind both, I'm not sure what happens. I've only bound one. When eventually the damn thing updated to the right version, and I sat there for about 10 minutes going, I can't find this binding, and then suddenly realised it hadn't actually updated the damn thing, which was slightly embarrassing. But it did make it better once I found it. Right, we are looking at, just in case you hadn't noticed whilst I've been waffling, the 963 LMDh. I keep wanting to call them LMPH, but they're LMDh. I might have said LMP without thinking about it a couple of times whilst I was rambling. So, very nice looking car. It's the hybrid, these new hyper cars, or whatever the hell they call them. I can't remember what their official title is. They're actually quite clean and neat the way they've done them. They're not sprouting obscene amounts of winglets and other bullshit on them. There's a couple on the roof, but I'd call them veins more than winglets. But all in all, pretty damn clean. Now there's, like I said in the thing, there's three cars: the 963, the hybrid BMW, and the Cadillac. Also, we now have a Gen 2 of GT3 with updated versions of the 720S. That's an updated, there's 20 odd horsepower more, weighs about 5 kilos more. Otherwise, I think it's more the aero and electronics that have been improved in the car. Same goes for the AMG. I don't know how it does power wise, but it's probably much on a par with the McLaren. I forgot to check that one. The BMW is obviously a different car. It's now the M4 instead of the M6, as is the Porsche, which is now the 992 as opposed to the 991. Going back to what we were looking at a moment ago, where the bloody hell was it gone? The pork. The other addition is, of course, the Circuit de 24 Heures du Mans, to use my Del Boy voice. Also got the permanent course, which is the Bugatti course. The 24-hour course is a course, not a permanent circuit, because this big bit of straight down here is actually a main road, and here a couple of roundabouts, and goes off down here somewhere as well. It's only when it gets to, I think, just on the start of the Porsche curves, that's where it becomes officially part of the sort of permanent circuit, although it doesn't actually get to the permanent Bugatti circuit until the final hairpin. But what I'm going to do, I'll set it up with a couple of laps, and what I'll do is I'll have a slow meander around for a lap, and then I'll see if I can do a decent lap the second time round without making a complete utter twat of myself. Easily done, I know. So, first things first, I mean, it's a very nice little car, that. I do like the clean lines of those. I mean, the Formula cars, they do leave me a bit cold with their excessive amount of bullshittery on the aero nowadays. Mind you, Motor Grand Prix is getting just as bloody bad with all their winglets, and I mean, actually got a little rear wing stuck on the back of the seat, sticking up above the seat. I mean, as Casey Sona said, get rid of all the bullshit and go back to some real racing where the person on the fucking bike makes the difference. But that's a different subject. Right, I'm not going to bother with setup or anything. Suffice it to say, these have got quite a lot of bits and pieces you can play with. We're on a rolling start, the reason for that being because I'll turn the ERS off, which means it will be not deploying at all, but will be... Oh, God. But it'll turn off any second. Bizarrely, it uses a bit straight away. Right, start finish straight, past the pits. Obviously very large pits. Loads and loads and loads of people up there. Hello. Into the Dunlop curve. Is this the Dunlop curve? I think it's officially called the Dunlop curve. And then into the Dunlop S. Why is it called the Dunlop S? I don't know. There might be a clue ahead of us somewhere, but that's a very interesting braking zone. You have to get it a bit right, and then obviously you want to be using plenty of curb. You can hack across there quite easily. Try not to push too wide on the exit. This is a bit interesting because you're coming over this nice little brine brow, and until you work out you have to be turning left as you get to it. And then down to, is this the Tetra Rouge S? I think that was La Chapelle, because that's La Chapelle corner going around there in Bugatti. This is the Tetra Rouge S, I believe. If I get any names wrong, yeah, I'll correct them in the comments underneath or whatever. That's quite an interesting exit there, because you're coming over this rise and it's quite easy to actually get the car pushing there. This is interesting as well because you try and want to hack over that curve a bit. Try not to push too wide here. If you go over there somewhere, you'll get a little beep going, you've been a very naughty boy or girl, and you've disallowed your lap. So down here, now depending upon what you're driving, the speed along here gets quite high, and obviously you're going to be wanting to either go for a very fast lap, or you're one of these fuel conserving people, yes, sorry Raj, who goes a little slower but uses less fuel and doesn't have to pit for 45 minutes. That's how you come third instead of 11th. I don't know what the fuel consumption is like in these things. I'll find out on Saturday. But we, like I said, we did the GT1. And a 45-minute race in the GT1s is a bit hit and miss on whether or not you make the distance. You do have to lift and coast a bit. Now, if you're going to lift and coast, I was in a GT1, I was lifting at the 300 yard marker, 300 metres, 300 units of whatever measurement they are, and braking close at the 100. If you're in flat out on one of these, about 150, somewhere around where this bit of spare arm K goes in, and you want to be braking all the way in, probably through here. You can hack across this curb and probably brake all the way to about here. Again, try and hack across the curb a bit. You can run out here a bit wide and you sort of half hook the back of the curb there. You can actually get a bit of rotation off the curb as well, and then it's back down one of these quick bits. Slightly odd selection of that, looked like it was autumn foliage mixed in with summer foliage there. Either that or they trees they just need watering, I'm not sure which, but all in all, I mean, the circuit is beautifully modelled. I'm not sure if this is actually one of the SMS models that's been reused, borrowed. I would have to back them and have a good look around, but I do actually have a look left and right button. I don't know why, because it's all that happens is I accidentally hit them occasionally and bugging myself up. Also, they're a bit overly sensitive. Now into here, this is the second chicane. Again, you can lift at the 300 yard marker if you're trying to save a bit. There's about there where that arm code changes, about 125 metres. Slightly shorter braking distance for some reason into here. Again, hack over the curb a bit and try and take out one of the two of the bollards on your way through. Again, hard on the power out of here, and you can probably get a bit of rotation off that curb again. Use as much road as you need to. I don't think the dotted white lines actually count for a lot in terms of track limits, so there's plenty of room for 5 wide, maybe, if you're really brave. Or stupid, one of the two. But get a nice on the left hand side over the hump that's not as humpy as it used to be, so you don't end up flipping your car and ending up over in the boondogs over there. Again, if you're going to lift and coast, probably at the 200 marker on this one, I think, because it's slightly downhill, but you want to be braking somewhere between 100 and where this line starts, and then you can brake in a straight-ish line and come out nice and wide, and then again hacking over the curb, use as much on the exit as possible, and back on the power for what in theory should be the fastest part of the course, if I recall correctly. You do make it over in one of these over 200 miles an hour down each section of straight, even without any ERS. I think I was getting over 200 when I just tried it for one lap without ERS and one lap with, just to see what it felt like. Again, you should be running over the curves on the apexes here, the little kinks on whatever this straight is called, coming out of Mulsanne Corner towards Indianapolis. Yeah, Indianapolis. Again, you can use the width of the road, you can run that curb, not a problem. Nice trees. And again, if you're lifting and coasting, lift it about the 200, and then you can probably brake at sort of turning point. If you're on it, you can brake sort of somewhere around just after the green bit and through here. You want to drop down, and you can take quite a lot of the liberties on the inside there. Again, use all the curb, braking just after this, about halfway between that and the 50, maybe a bit earlier. Through this corner, quite tight. Again, run it nice and wide. The curve is well over the white line there, so then up towards, that's Arnage. Yeah, Arnage. Up here towards Porsche curves, which is where the uber fast, uber scary pit starts. Again, you can sort of use the line to line between the two sides of the road, so you can sort of straighten out. I've not tried enough laps that I've actually gone, how fast can you commit to going into the Porsche curves, but you can commit quite late. If you're going to lift and coast, do it from the 100 or a bit earlier, and then you want to come quite late and turn in to try and keep the corner a bit like that. I'll probably turn in too early because I always do. Try and sort of maximise the size of these corners. Be a bit careful if you're in a left-hand drive car not to clip the wall. I did several times whilst trying out the GT1s because I was in a left-hand drive car and I'd forgotten about it. You might have to drop it down a gear through here. It gets a bit slower first couple of corners and then it slows a bit through here. Otherwise you tend to run wide. This you want to turn in probably earlier than you think you do, so you can not run too wide on the exit, because that's going to be another place where you're going to go, oh, laps invalidated. Hack across the curves as much as possible, straight line this little S's. If you need to go in the pits, the pit entrance is just after the Porsche sign here, and there's a couple of one or two rather sharp corners to slow down. I'm going to brake about halfway across the pit lane to turn across this rather difficult to spot second last she's going, and then we'll put it in auto, and that was a slow lap, and now we'll see if we can do a fast lap or faster lap, and we'll see whether or not I live up to my bullshit on what I told you I was meant to be doing. Again, you see it's quite difficult to spot coming down there. You get very playful across the top of there. Keep it on a speed. Of course, this in kilometres an hour, which is not very useful. Is it 312 or 200 miles an hour? And we don't even get into top necessarily unless we want to. I'm not going to lift, so there is one good thing about Le Mans, there's plenty of places to relax in between the oh my god, it's a fast corner, I'm scared bits, so but I have to say the car, which I haven't really talked about, it's actually really nicely balanced. It's one of those where you're going to have to work out how best to play with your ERS. They are planning to do more development on the ERS side because it's not quite there, but it's pretty good. Mulsanne is always a pain in the arse. It's so easy to run on there. This is a bit difficult to spot the apex early, but you can just about work out where it is. Now let's see if we can get to Indianapolis right. Could have done with turning in a bit earlier, but I'll give that a 7 out of 10. Fastest lap, minus 4 minutes and 40 something. That just seems bizarre. Now, this is where life gets a little bit tricky, and we go. Not the best of a line through there, but not bad for a sort of not practiced a lot. Stab at it. And that's a not brilliant 3 minute 32 lap with a build-up lap that was actually a bit faster. I'd have been sub 3 minute 30 probably. I say that because when I practiced earlier I did a 3:29, so like I said, it was reasonable. Obviously my tyres had probably cooled down as well, although I wasn't actually looking that much, but all in all, I have to say, it's a really nice car. And one thing, I think, was it Niels was doing a piece about the tyres and about slip angles and explaining how the reason some people find AMS2 a little bit strange is because you can sort of end up swapping between over and understeer quite a lot as you go for a corner, as the sort of, because it's not a peaky grip slip curve, it's relatively flat, so you can actually be either side of the peak, so you might be sort of going between over and understeer quite easily, and I think some people get confused by that. Basically go with the flow. Yeah. So all in all, that, like I said, that's the only one of the LMDh cars I've actually tried, but it feels very nice. I will have to do a little bit more testing between the 3 different cars before we have a race on Saturday. Assuming we are having one. Are we? No, didn't hear anything. If I could be asked, I would check to see whether or not somebody set up one. I've been running around a bit for the last hour or two. All I can say is it's a damn good update, and that's a damn good car, and presumably the rest of them are on a par with it. If they've made as many improvements to the GT3 Gen2s as they have with getting these dialed in, I think everything's getting nicely dialed in now. It's getting to the point where you're going, yep, that's it, that's getting really good. And if you're not playing AMS2 on a regular basis and just thinking, should I, shouldn't I? The answer is yes, you should. Pull your head out your butts, stop playing with ACC and have a go with this. I know all you ACC people will only play ACC. Get out of your comfort zone with it, and you might find your comfort zone's actually over here somewhere, more towards this. At some point, I must actually try out, and this shows you how little I've been doing of late, Race Room. I literally have not started that Race Room since their last update with a big physics update, so I think I did actually buy the new DTM pack. I just haven't really tried it yet. So there's that, and there's several various cars come out from Racing Studio and VRC that I must also get around to trying on. I will try and do a few more videos over the next a few days, weeks. Hopefully my mother's feeling a bit better now, so I don't know, I'm not 100% sure, so we'll see. She's doing alright for 85. But I think for now, I will now sort out the replay so I can put it in the corner and you can watch me slithering about in the car. And I think that will do for now. I don't know how long that was. 35-ish minutes. That's not too bad. Right, for me, for now, it's AMS2's latest update, and I have to say it's very good. So give it a shot if you haven't. And if you have, why are you watching me do it? So, for me, for now, enjoy racing, have fun, enjoy the rest of your year, and hopefully you had a good Christmas. Some of us did, some of us didn't, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye. Where's my button?